Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from S10 Gamers, and welcome. So today we're taking a quick look at Simple Planes. Now, I spotted this on the workshop, and it met the criteria for games that I tend to like to have a look at. It's what I would call a true engineering game. Now, by engineering, I mean that you build something, you realise that you built something rubbish, and then you evolve the design. You build it further, make it better, faster, stronger, and that is what I call a true engineering game. But anyway, I'll show you some of the engineering features and I'll show you the evolution of a few fighter planes that are built. So before we go into the actual editor itself, I thought I'd just show you this jet in action and show you some of the fun you can actually have with dogfighting with these other AI. So if we select air to air, you can actually have a look what other aircraft are out there. We've got a seaplane out at sea, so we'll lock that up with some interceptor missiles or maybe a Guardian. Okay, there we go, we lock in, got the missile locked, fire it away. Let's see if we can take out that weak little seaplane with that missile. I don't think it's really got a chance. Oh, it's actually managed to evade the missile. Look at that. It's flying quite erratically, and I don't think he's got any weapons of its own, though. So we'll be able to come back in on that target, as long as he doesn't try chasing us. We've also got another target up there. That's a P-51 Mustang. So we'll bank away, and we'll come in a little bit slower. Chasing the propeller-driven aircraft with the jets is a lot harder, but this time we'll use a short-range missile. If we can, that is. So we'll lock back around, pick up that aircraft if we can, if it's not already gone into the drink. There we go. We can launch that as soon as we've got that. Missile launched. Fox 3. Keeping the lock. Yeah, there we go. Target annihilated. Absolutely beautiful. You can see some of the pieces coming off, so you've got to be careful when you fly behind it so you don't get in a debris field. So let's switch back to our long-range missiles on the Wasp. Over there, and we'll fire a long-range one off. Fire a long-range. So there is gunplay in this, and you've got a mixture of different missiles. So let's see if that Wasp evades that. Oh, no, it didn't. Didn't stand a bloody chance. And we've got a P-51. We've got 1 times interceptor left. And the interceptor missiles, you have to maintain the lock. So I'm going to have to go back into first person to maintain the lock. I'll bring it down ever so slightly. I'm going to bring my plane to a little bit of a slower speed as well. Oh, he's going to be coming around the mountain. I'll have to catch up a bit closer. I'm going to launch it. Screw it. Oh, no, the missile's going off. Come on. Yes. Eliminated. Beautiful. Right, we'll head into the editor and have a mess around there. So the first question you're probably asking is just how hard is it to build a plane that is quite efficient? Well, this plane itself has probably took me easily 4 or 5 hours to actually develop. I'll show you the development process, where I started and where I got to. So if we access this menu here, we can load up an earlier version of it. So the first version of this was the Mark 1. As you can tell, the Mark 1 wasn't very good, so we moved on to the Mark 2. Now, the difference between the Mark 1 and 2 was that the wings were just absolutely far better of an aerofoil compared to the Mark 1. I'll just show you the Mark 1. The Mark 1 was just uncontrollable. It just decided to dip around. You've got a basic sort of thruster that is very small indeed, but it struggles to really fly indeed because the wings are just too short. Anyway, we'll exit back to that. And this can also, you can see how we can get in and out of game very quickly, so we can test out these designs. So let's actually have a look at the next one in the order. So the Mark 2, we moved a little bit further, a little bit better in aerodynamics. Then we moved to the Mark 3, where I decided that we needed to add twin engines. So you can see how I'm evolving this plane over time. I'm not just leaving it static. I'm getting to a design point where it's struggling in a certain category, like speed, for instance. So we've added another thruster, and then I decided to add more weight because I want a different sort of wing style to the Mark 3. Well, to the Mark 2, you can see how we've evolved the wing style with this little individual brake sort of bracket as well there. So then we moved to the Mark 5, where we decided to add some weapons on, and the mistake of this was the weapons actually knocked the plane out of balance completely, and I needed more power. So in the Mark 6, you can see we've got these giant jet turbine engines, we've got longer wings, and the missiles are actually mounted underneath, so when one's launched, we won't lose balance with the plane. So quite interesting indeed. We've also got a load of designs that they've actually created for us, so you can see how detailed you can actually get with your designs if you want to mess around. You can also build buggies and cars. So we've got a P-51 Mustang. We've also got a few other ones. So we've got a twin prop aircraft. You can just go really crazy with your designs. But anyway, let's start from scratch. So if we go over here and we select the blank sort of page, we can select OK. So you start with a basic sort of cockpit, and I'll show you through some of the blocks. So we've got structural. Now, structural is quite simple. You can just add, obviously, a block onto the front, add a nose cone, and we've got a plane pretty much ready for actions. Or you think that, and then until you try building a wing. And I'll show you how building a wing here is more complicated than you think. Because you think, oh, there'll be a wing block, and I'll just stick it onto the side of the plane, and everything will work. But as you can see, we place that on, and that wing will not do anything. The placement of this wing is so important. If it's further forward, like 2 meters further forward, I noticed makes like a 100% better plane in different sorts of situations. But that's just the example of that. And if we double click that, we've got the option, we can extend the wing out, change the shape, contract it in, so you can make a very tight sort of Mirage-like wing, so for a high-speed jet, and you can just really change it out. You can also make the wing canted and just really lead with your imagination and see what works for that plane. So one of the cool features that I also like in the structural blocks here is this little idea here for the fuselage block. We can place this on, and you're probably going, Aaron, that looks absolutely stupid, but I'm just going to use this as a little bit of a template at the moment. So we're going to move a little bit closer, and we're going to double click on this, and I think this is something that other games of building categories should take note of. So we can actually extend the length, we can control the individual block's properties rather than place a different block. So the next thing I'm going to do is change the ends. So you can see I can select the different ends up here, and we're just going to actually flatten this block down a little bit. So we'll bring it in, and we'll bring it down ever so slightly, and we're going to do the same with the other end. So we're going to bring it in and down, so we've made a little bit of a flatter fuselage area. We're going to go back, make sure the width is a little bit tighter at this end, so it's going to curve in from the nose. We'll select the other end again, and then we're just going to change the width down as well. So you're probably wondering why you'd want to do that. Well, if we separate that block off, put it over there for a minute, we can actually start building the underneath of the cockpit area and the fuselage itself if we attach that up to it. So at the moment it's not looking absolutely perfect, but I think we can actually fix that by extending it. And you can see just how addictive this can become when you're starting to build. You start with this, and then you're 3 hours later, and you've only got half a plane still built. So we need to extend the length of that a little bit further along. Let's just check that out, see what we got, see if anything hangs over the edge. See, the cockpit at the moment's hanging over the edge of it, and I don't like the idea of that. So let's actually press smooth. And with the smoothed option, it'll align it with the block above. So we've actually smoothed that into the cockpit's design. And what we're going to need here is some sort of nose cone. So we could use a pre-selected one if we wanted to, and I think I will do for the minute. But you can also use the fuselage block again. See, just look how silly that looks. It just doesn't look right unless it was some sort of jet intake. So we can go a little bit further down, check the fuselage block once again, and turn this into a nose cone just by selecting one end, bringing the cone down into a smaller diameter. Just very cool, very simple sort of building. You can sculpt your own plane from it completely. So if we bring that in a little bit, we're going to have to make this so it's smooth. Well, that looks really stupid, whatever we've done there. That's, I think, because both ends are smoothed into each other. So let's change the height down. That looks good. The nose cone's still a bit too pointy for me. We need to completely break that out. Oh, that's too squared. So you see, this is what I mean about how you can just keep changing the designs up. I think we'll also change the length of this block. So if we extend it out a little bit further, we'll get a different sort of nose cone. And you can just see how we evolve that. But for the moment, we're going to sort of take this off because we're going to do a simple sort of propeller design. So we'll just delete that off and let ourselves a propeller on the front. So propellers are in the propulsion section. So the propulsion section itself, we've got a variety of different ones, some very basic sort of propellers. We'll put a basic one in for the minute. I don't like how this is shaped at the moment, but Aaron's just going to deal with it because we're going to try to build a basic plane in a very short amount of time. So we attach that to there. We're going to extend the hull a little bit larger. If I had a load of time to do this and show you how I'd sculpt this in, then I would take more of these fuselage boxes, connect them together and stretch them out and change the shape. But for the moment, we're just going to try to get a little bit of a shape done, so we can add ourselves some wings and try to get this thing flying, because at the moment I don't think it's going to fly at all. So primary wing sections, we can add one to this side like so, and what we can do is mirror it over to the other side, but them wings are not going to work at all. And we'll add a little bit of a basic sort of tail section in for the moment. So we need another horizontal stabilizer on that side, so we can double that over, and then a vertical stabilizer, probably not there on the back. That's probably a pretty damn bad idea. But you can see how we can build a plane. In this case, it's so rubbish looking, this probably won't fly. But we'll actually have a look. We'll have a look at the sort of situation we get ourselves in with this propeller-driven one. Okay, so you can see the wings are not creating enough lift, and even with enough power at this low speed, it's not actually allowing me to pull up. But it is now. We've got a little bit more speed, but the propeller engine is designed for slower speeds. So you can see I was dipping into the ground, so we're going to have to fix that quickly. So you'll find yourself evolving your plane even further. So let's actually click on this wing, and I think lots of prop-driven craft planes have wings that look more like this, where they're a bit bigger. Actually, that's more of a jet wing, so let's build a wing that looks like that, and then what we'll do is duplicate that over to the other side, and this will hopefully create a little bit more lift for the aircraft. Okay, so it's definitely got more lift because I'm doing less on the controls to keep it level, like you can see there. You can see the ailerons that we can actually change as well. I'll show you that. This is a pretty cool feature. So if we go back to the menu, and we click on here, we access this button, we can actually change our control surfaces and add multiple ones. So if I go edit shape, I can drag the control surface larger. I can also bring it smaller as well, so I can actually control the plane differently, and this will affect how your plane will handle in the field as well. Now, to wrap this up, I have to say that Simple Planes, for the price, is probably a very fun little game to have. And saying that this will probably run on most basic sort of laptops and stuff means that you can build and get creative while you're out and about. And it's a great game for, say, you see something while you're out and about, you're inspired by it, and you want to build. And that happens quite a lot to me, so whipping out my laptop and building an aircraft might be a fun little thing to do in the future while I'm traveling. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching.